All right. Sec to get worked up here. All right. So thought I was gonna do something else tonight. I didn't think this was what I was gonna do, but this came across my feed, so I wanted to look at this, and I don't want to do it twice. So I'm gonna do it once on here, so everyone can watch it with me, and you can all suffer together. Now, this thing, I watched a little bit of it. I watched about the first 10 minutes or something. This thing is like, I think it's one of those things they show in like the briefing rooms or whatever. It's just some bullshit little thing where cops talk about cop stuff. It's almost like a PSA. It's a lot like a PSA kind of thing, but yeah, whatever.
Lieutenant Brandon Clarkson is a member of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. The groundwork he laid when assigned to a regional counterterrorism capabilities unit was essential in the law enforcement response to the Route 91 Country Music Festival shooting on the Las Vegas Strip in 2017. In addition to having trained officers on mass shooting responses, he was in the incident command post on that night and was responsible for the real-time tracking of where officers were, the threats they faced, and what resources they needed.
I'm not sure if that's accurate. As much as I watched into this, I thought he said he was off duty that night, but we'll see.
It was at this point that he learned his twin brother, who was also with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, had been wounded. Lieutenant Clarkson later became very involved in the after-action review of the incident and has used his experiences to help prepare departments throughout the country with improving their readiness to effectively respond to the unthinkable. Please welcome Lieutenant Clarkson.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Brandon Clarkson of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I'm here to talk to you today about our shooting that we had in 2017, the event which we call 1 October. So today,
by the way, if you want to find this thing, the channel is The Cops Office, Season 3, Episode 3. That's what this is. That's where I got this.
Today, I'm out here filming outside, as you can see. This is our search and rescue hangar. And we are going to talk about all the lessons learned, a little overview of the event, some of the personal experience that I had, and how we can make each other better and our different agencies better. The Route 91 Harvest Festival. A lot of people ask what that is. It is a country music venue that we have for several years. And unfortunately, during this event, it was the biggest mass shooting in U.S. history.
Several years. I almost said 3 years. Oh.
History. So again, the Route 91 is a concert festival. We've had this for several years. It goes from Friday to Sunday. The event occurred on a Sunday, and it's an open-air venue. There's approximately 22,000 people that attend this. And you think 22,000?
Several years. So he's turning 3 years into several years. I mean, it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. It's fucking irrelevant information. But it tells me he doesn't really know what he's talking about there. He's just making that up.
1,000 people. That is a lot of people, but not for Las Vegas. Las Vegas, this has barely met a threshold of how much people that we usually have coming to different events. When I talk later about personnel, it's what our footprint is and how we gauge our response to these types of incidents. So the venue itself, again, 22,000 people. It's that open air venue just across from Mandalay Bay. As you guys can see, some of the pictures that are posted. A great atmosphere. Again, lots of good people, lots of good music, lots of good food. This is one of the things that kind of helped us in our response to this because again, 22,000 people are there. And at this concert, we had a lot of off-duty firefighters, off-duty police officers, nurses, doctors, military, which actually helped overall in our response to and saving lives during this incident. So where it gets personal for me is, so I was off duty. I responded to the command post that night. Part of my role that night, I was a sergeant.
You're missing a button there, bro. Couldn't you at least like get dressed for this shit? I mean, I know I'm nickel and diamond here, but come on, dude, it's obvious. I mean, who dressed you this morning? Did you break that button this morning? I mean, was that the final? I mean, I don't know. I don't shit on cops too much, especially when I don't know this fucking guy. But dude, was that the one donut that broke the fucking button? What? I mean, did you have that this morning? Is that what happened? What? I don't know. Whatever.
At the time for our multi-assault counterterrorism action capabilities section, which is a long way.
It just looks unprofessional, man. Can't take my eyes off it now, dude. This guy's, yeah, dude. That doesn't look right.
We call it MacTac. It's a long way of saying.
And why? Okay, so why do you wear your like tool belt, you know, with all your gadgets on it and stuff, when obviously you're not going to be doing anything like, you know, I don't know. I guess to look like a cop, this is weird. It's just weird. That always kind of surprised me. Like, you know, these cops will come to, remember when we were young, cops come to the elementary school or whatever with their fancy little cop car, play a siren, get all the kids excited and shit to be cops. They always had their fucking belt with their gun and shit. I guess you never know when something's gonna break out, but come on, man. Yeah, you don't need it all the time. But that button, yeah, that button you fucking need. You need that button, dude. You fix that, bro.
The active shooter training section. So my job at the time was to train police, fire, EMS, the private sector, critical infrastructure, and how to prepare and respond to an active assailant incident, especially one that could rise to a complex coordinated attack such as Mumbai, India. So that was my role that night, coming to the command post. I've done several trainings, reviewed after action reports of different active shooters across the country and overseas, and really preparing our role. And where it gets more personal is I have an identical twin brother. He's a sergeant today in our gang unit. During that night, he was a detective. He hadn't worked an overtime gig in 4 years, but a country music concert, you think to yourself, hey, you know, work overtime. So when this happened, and I'll talk a little bit more about it, but he was shot in the neck that night, and again, luckily survived full recovery. But it's when you think about these incidents, like, oh, it would never happen here, or not somebody that you know or trust, but it happened to me. It happened to my brother. My brother was shot, and you just have to be mentally prepared for that. So the suspect in this incident.
All right, let's see what we got here. Suspect Stephen Paddock, 64 years of age, born in California. See, I didn't know that, man. Born in California. I don't think that was on his background part. Attended Cal State Northridge College. All right. Don't know much about that college. Married for 6 years, then divorced. Was he married like a couple times? I thought he was married like twice at least. Dated Mary Lou Danley for the past 6 years. He and Mary Lou lived in Mesquite, Nevada. Worked as an auditor for many years. You don't even have like the exact, like, just say several because fuck it, you know, that's like a blanket term, I guess. Describes intelligent and good with numbers. Okay. He is wealthy. Well, I guess, yeah. Regular gambler, preferred to play high limit slots. Well, I mean, according to the FBI, he wasn't wealthy anymore, but you know, he lost all his money, but that's the FBI at this point. I don't know. I don't know what the FBI's purpose in life is anymore. Minimal contact with law enforcement, traffic related only, no arrests. During his stay at Mandalay Bay, Paddock paid off his gambling markers and was not indebted to the casino. Oh man, I don't want to have to go back and look into that, but I don't remember what it said in the final report as far as when he paid all that off. I don't know if that's true or not, according to their report.
This is the one and only time I'll mention his name because I don't want to glorify this individual, but suspect was Stephen Paddock. He was 64 years of age. He had been divorced. He actually had pretty good money.
Does he look like the dude from like Harry and the Hendersons? He's got that big ass forehead. This guy's crazy looking.
With real estate. He had been an auditor, and he had very minimal contact with law enforcement. When you think of a lot of these shooters, there's like a severe mental illness or whatever reason that causes somebody to do an active shooter incident, but nothing really like would set this on a path to like, hey, this is someone we need to look into. Again, he that night of 1 October, he thousands of dollars. He won big, he lost big, and he was a high roller. So he again, nothing that would really peg this person as somebody that like, hey, we need to watch this guy. During the investigative phase of the suspect, we looked into his internet search history, which, you know, he looked up a bunch of different venues across the country. He looked up SWAT tactics.
What do we got here? Is this from the report directly? I don't think it is. No, it's not. This is something he put together. Search of computer revealed many things, including the fucking weird ass fucking way to put that. Google searches for summer concerts 2017, La Jolla Beach. Yeah. Well, then you have like a fucking, oh no, La Jolla is not the same beach. How crowded does Santa Monica Beach get? Yeah, that doesn't fucking matter because Mary Lou's fucking daughter lives over there. I don't think he's going to go shoot up her neighborhood. Biggest open air concert venues in the USA. I don't know what came up with that search. Las Vegas high rise rentals. That's when he was looking for the Ogden. So I don't know why they included that in this bullshit. SWAT Las Vegas. Do police use explosives? Life is beautiful. That's without context. You know, people are gonna say that is like this guy's a hippie. How high is Mandalay Bay? Ballistics chart of a 308 and many others. I would like to know the many others. Google Maps searches for Fenway Park and Venice Beach. Venice Beach don't fucking matter, dude. That's stupid. That's where Mary Lou's daughter lives. So that's probably why he was looking at Venice Beach. Several hundred images of child pornography. Still not sure whether I believe that or not, but I guess it could be true. I don't know. Who knows?
Police tactics and how we would respond to something like this. And with all the different venues, you know, with terrorist attack or people and property, they want to make a statement. They want to do some damage, and this is what he was looking for.
Like Antifa.
So, as the night unfolds, and as I talk about this, I'm kind of going chronological, and I kind of bring in some experience with this. But there was a lot of things that worked in our benefit as far as response and or mitigating threat or saving lives. And the night of 1 October, the 32nd floor is where this occurred. There was a alarm system, so when you leave your door open in Las Vegas, it kind of puts off an alarm. So security went up to go check. And in this incident, the suspect started firing at outside the doors towards the security officer, probably thinking law enforcement was coming up. But it was the benefit to that happening was that we were able to quickly identify the floor the suspect was on. Because if you think about,
okay, shit, my brain ain't working right, but sounds like some bullshit. He went through that really quick, and he didn't explain what the SOS alarm system is. He made it sound like there's an alarm system when your door's open too long. Security guard was up there. he shot security guard. So he makes it almost sound like the shooter fucked up and left his door open, and that's why the security guard was up there. I'm sure some dumbass will come up with some crazy conspiracy saying that that's what happened, but that's dumb. This guy's just rolling through this and kind of just doesn't seem like he really gives a shit about what he's talking about.
The response to something like this and elevated. And if you guys are, ever looked at a hotel and you're trying to count the floors going up, or look where the, where, hey, what is that 32nd, 33rd, 34th? It's halfway up, right? So it can be kind of hard to find, but we were able to get that information immediately. So we're sending, officers responding, hey, 32nd floor, they're making teams, they're going up to the 32nd floor so they can stop the threat.
Yeah, but what about the two that didn't? I mean, your teams went to 31st floor, your first two people. And then you had your other teams go to what, the 29th or some shit, and start clearing all the floors on their way up, taking an hour to get up there to fucking breach that shit. Yeah. That don't pat yourself on the back for that one.
And meanwhile, you have all these other officers down in the.
I mean, if anything, you should not say shit like that. That wouldn't be a good narrative for the police because, if you knew exactly where this guy was at while he was shooting, then why did you stop it? Yeah, that does not.
The venue looking for additional threats because there was conflicting information.
Yeah.
And trying to help people evacuate, life safety measures. And so there was a lot of things that helped. And but
that life safety stuff, all that stuff, in the moments of the firing and immediately afterwards were not coordinated. That wasn't organized. So don't pat yourself on the back for that shit because your training didn't mean a fucking shit for that. All that was you had some cops in the venue. You had a couple good ones. You had a couple bad ones that were hiding for their lives. The good ones were trying to help people and do stuff like that. The bad ones were fucking running scared. It may as well have been civilians at that point. So, this is not completely whatever.
Those things that help too is, again, all those people that attend that country music concert, off-duty firefighters, police, nurses, doctors, military, that were helping people to save lives. So, and if you ever looked at any image, you see a lot of people walking around without their shirts on because they're taking the shirt off to help provide medical attention as well. So
he looks very awkward doing this. Like, he doesn't do public speaking normally. But yeah, he is right about that. Yeah. I mean, those people did help a lot of people. See, October 1st, approximately 9:18, Manila-based security officer Jesus Campos was assigned to check several hotel service hot sauce alarms. Okay, so now we're explaining this. Room 32129 was last room to be checked, which, somebody was in that room. We saw that. It's kind of weird that they had that door open. But whatever. I left the door open for 2 fucking hours up there, and they didn't do shit. Or no, it was an hour and 20 minutes, I think. Somebody else told me they went up there, did the same thing, and they were up there for with the door open for 2 hours. So yeah, I don't know about this hot sauce stuff. Maybe it was different back then. I don't know. Let's see, approximately 9:47. Campos was unable to exit the stairwell of the 32nd floor. Why did it take you 30 minutes to check 5 rooms in, one wing of a hotel? And one of those rooms was obviously, on the floor or 2 below because you used the stairway to get to it. So it was close. That never made any sense. And not to throw conspiracies out there, these things are strange. I'm kind of curious if he actually got that notification at 9:18 or if he's on break or some shit, came back at 9:30. I don't know. Anyway, at 9:47, security officer Campos unable to exit stairwell to the 32nd floor. L bracket placed by suspect. Campbell's calls it into maintenance. Maintenance engineer Shuck is dispatched to handle door issue. At 10:06, security officer Campbell's is on the 32nd floor hallway, calls in dispatch, hey, there's shots fired in 32135. Was that 10:06? No, that wasn't 10:06. That's not accurate, is it? I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if I buy that one. I have to go look. Okay, so both Campbell's and engineer Shuck. Cause I know we hear that from Shuck. We do hear a recording, I think, of Campbell's, but we don't hear it on any I don't think we hear it in any body cam or anything. Let's see, both Campbell's and engineer Shuck initially thought the gunfire was rapid drilling or jackhammer type noises. That's vague and fucked up. But yeah, Campbell's heard rapid drilling. But it's interesting that they're pulling the Ellen show here and saying that Campbell's thought gunfire was rapid drilling and not that Campbell's thought rapid drilling was rapid drilling. Since they had drills up there. So I don't know, man. The police have no way of knowing what Campbell's heard according to the statements that we've been given and that we've seen. And even his bullshit on the Ellen show, he never admitted to hearing the gunfire when he was talking about the rapid drilling. She tried to bait him into it, but he didn't fall for that. So I don't know. About that. The jackhammer thing, yeah, that was Shuck. Suspect sees Campbell's on the surveillance system he deployed on room service carts. Okay. I mean, speculation, you know. I mean, he could have seen him in the people cam, I guess. Could have heard him outside, you know, saying something to somebody. I don't know. He fires down the hallway at Campbell's. He's struck in the lower leg by shrapnel. I mean, I guess he would have seen him on surveillance anyway. He would have looked. So I guess that does, say something. But whatever. From approximately 10:06, 10:16, suspect fires more than 1,050 rounds from his room. All but 100 or so were fired out the window towards concert venue or fuel tanks. All but 100 or so were fired out the windows towards the concert venue or fuel tanks. Now, I know another fucking crazy conspiracy fucking nut job is going to say some stupid shit about that sentence right there. But this whole thing is written really badly. And all but 100 or so shots were fired out the windows towards concert venue or the fuel tanks. I don't know if he's trying to talk about 100 shots or so were fired at the police. I don't know. Others were fired down the hallway. Oh, God, I should have read the fucking next sentence. That would have explained it for me. All right. And that wasn't 100 shots. That was only like 30. I don't know. Depending on what evidence you go off of. I believe 32 to 36.
Approximately 10:06 to 10:16, the suspect had fired over 1,000 rounds. And it came in several different volleys. And one of the things that one of my friends, who's a sergeant that was working overtime that night, he is now the MACTAC sergeant, Sergeant Van Nest. He was describing the volleys. They just keep coming. It just keeps coming. When's it going to stop? And then after the last one, you're like, he's just waiting for the next volley, the next 100 rounds to come at him. So it was a very dynamic incident, especially from that. And when you're trying to identify where the shooting's coming from. So again, 1,000 rounds into a crowd of 22,000 people, right? So there's barely any aiming involved, but there was over 850 injuries. And unfortunately, 58 people were killed that night. And just recently, we had 2 more people have succumbed to their injuries since then. So we're now at 60 people have died because of the during the shooting of 1 October. So kind of breaking this down, we had over 800 patients from all different states. It's Las Vegas. They're coming to a concert. Everyone's coming. Again, 60 people were killed. All deaths were from gunshot wounds. 13 area hospitals were saw patients. Our trauma centers were saturated with people, and we had about 250 people transported by EMS, but we had multiple people transported by citizens, off-duty military, people that were working to save people's lives. So again, it was just a big.
You mean civilians? Because even if they're off-duty military, they're still civilians.
Community approach to this with your private, public, and citizen response. So as far as our staffing for these type of incidents, again, we have a lot of officers working. 22,000 people, again, wasn't a major threshold for some of our grand special events that we have where there's hundreds of thousands of people. But we had one lieutenant, which...
This always was interesting. 51 people. I thought it was less than that. Community ambulance, 16 personnel. Department of Building and Fire Prevention. Yeah, okay. Fire department, 0. Really? You don't keep the fire department on duty. Dozens off-duty fire department EMS. Yeah, that doesn't count. That's not you guys, but whatever.
The incident commander, 5 sergeants, 44 police officers, 1 civilian dispatcher, and our EMS. And when you think about our emergency medical services, that community ambulance, what are you usually dealing with at a concert? Drunk people, dehydrated, bumps and bruises, and just that kind of stuff. So when you're thinking about staffing for that, right? Not a like a big mass shooting. So we didn't have our fire department there. We had emergency medical services there, and it didn't meet that threshold where we would have something of that nature where we would be coordinating with our fire department. But again, that multi-response from our off-duty fire department, EMS, nurses, doctors, really led to many lives being saved.
Well, the good thing here is he's given a shout out to everybody who helped. So it's not just we're badass and we did this and we did that. It started like that, but it's not going that way. Venue size located so then the strip. Okay, doesn't matter. 17.5 acres. It is multiple outdoor events. Yeah, okay, including American Ninja Warrior competition. That's right. I forgot that was.
So when you look at the venue is about 17.5 acres wide. It's an open air venue just east of Las Vegas Boulevard. And if anyone's watched American Ninja Warrior, you can see that the big things that they set up, that's usually where they host these type of events, right? So great area, great access to different casinos. People can come from their hotels, walk to the area. So very, very effective in bringing good large groups of people together for an event. So this next slide I'm going to show you is kind of like a bird's eye view of what from the 32nd floor of what the effective rounds were with the 223 and the 308 and the range that they use to fire down range. So I'll kind of talk about it.
That's interesting. That's actually interesting. Let's see what we got here. So the entirety of the concert, the entirety of the parking lot across the street, and then looks like it gets a little out of range after that. I'm not sure what the red means, but looks like he could reach all the way to the what was that? The Excalibur is in the red. I think it's Excalibur, or no, that's fucking Tropicana. Tripping. All right.
But you'll kind of see these different things where our command post was, where our casualty collection points were, where we set up different divisions and branches. And you can kind of see what you're looking at and how far that effective range is.
Someone's really good with Google Earth.
As we go through this, you'll see the different areas of where there were still potentially in range. So we're setting this stuff up after the gunfire has been down range, identifying that shooter. And our command post, thankfully, I mean, the architecture of the hotel itself prevented where, as you see at the top of the screen there, where our command post ended up being, which is our South Central Area Command.
You know what's crazy about that is Hunter once had a thing where he was saying that he felt the reason that Paddock might have wanted the 200 wing was so he could see the South Central Area Command of the police. And I argued with them that, well, you didn't know that's where, they were going to, muster, could have mustered anywhere. They could have went to one of their other command posts, but, that was discussion for a while.
But, and are staging up and down Las Vegas Boulevard. So the architecture really protected us from that. But those are the fuel tanks that you can see up there at the top of the screen. That's where the subject fired at those fuel tanks, probably obviously trying to ignite them. Probably wasn't the subject for fleeing, but it didn't ignite. And that's kind of an overall look at what your picture is. So, and as you'll see this picture later, 22,000 people are leaving that area very quickly. So during that incident, if you can just imagine all the people that are leaving, all the people that are fleeing, trying to get to safety, we were able to get up officers onto the 32nd floor quickly, and we can identify when the subject...
Wait. By 10:11, several LVMPD, he loves that word, LVMPD officers made it to the 31st floor along with some armed hotel security officers. Really? Huh. Oh, 31st floor. Okay, so yeah. Several. So by several, he means two. But yeah, 31st floor. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be talking about this, bro. At 10:12, two LVMPD officers on a street level outside the venue are hit by gunfire. Let's see. At a point in time between 10:16 and 10:18, suspect kills himself. So they're saying they don't even know exactly when he capped himself. Let's see. No more active gunfire. Approximately 10:16, 10:56, strike team of LVMPD officers cleared the 31st floor and proceed to the 32nd floor via the stairwell. Yeah, but why? Like, you had enough officers up there. Why didn't you just fucking knock the door down while you're clearing the other floors? I mean, that's dumb. 10:57, they used standard forcible entry tools to breach the barricade stairwell door on 32nd floor. Forcible tools. Okay, whatever. And by that he means a crowbar. 10:20, they use the explosive breach to enter the suite where they find Patty dead. Yeah, dude. I wouldn't brag about that.
Had killed himself, which was anywhere between 10:16 and 10:18, and he had used a revolver that he had purchased years ago. So again, the strike teams,
they know when he purchased the revolver. That's cool. That's interesting.
That had to go up. Some came up through elevators. The team that ended up breaching the door came up, breached the stairwell door that the suspect had barricaded, and were able to make entry. We used
that might make a good FOIA request, maybe to the ATF or something. See when he bought that revolver.
Explosive breaches to make entry, and then we found the suspect that had already committed suicide. So people ask about the arsenal of weaponry that he had. He had 14 AR-15s, 8 AR-10s, 1 bolt-action .308 rifle. He had the revolver that he killed himself with. He had over 5,200 rounds ready in magazines, and he used just over
5,200 rounds in magazines. Let me see that again. I want to see that. Let's see that slide. 14 AR-15s, 8 AR-10s, 1 bolt action .308, Smith & Wesson Airweight, 38 revolver, approximately 1,050 spent rifle rounds, and 5,280 live rounds. Numerous ammo magazines, 10 suitcases. Okay.
8 AR-10s, 1 bolt action .308 rifle. He had the revolver that he killed himself with. He had over 5,200 rounds ready in magazines, and he used just over 1,000 of them. And people ask, well, why did he stop shooting? Well, if you think about that time frame when he was shooting, that 10:06 to 10:16, people are fleeing everywhere. He's from a 32nd floor from 500 yards away. He's running out of targets to shoot. At one point in time, he starts shooting at what the officers were, which is at Las Vegas Boulevard and Mandalay Bay. Because when you think as law enforcement, and you got to prevent overconvergence and communicate this, is if you tell a cop like, hey, something bad is happening at this location, where does everyone go? They go to that location. So it was important to communicate, which they were, about not saturating Las Vegas Strip. But once he started running out of people to shoot in the venue, he started targeting law enforcement. And that's when one of our officers was shot in the arm, and then when my brother was struck in the neck. So as we look at here, this is kind of your...
I don't know about that, but I kind of buy it. I guess that could be accurate.
An overhead view of what the scatter pattern looked like of people fleeing it. And if you look at this, this 500 yards away, 32nd floor, really the suspect doesn't have to move that far to strike that area, which led to some of the confusion during our event. And some of it was, if you listen to the radio traffic, we have someone shot at gate 1, we have someone shot at gate 7, we have people shot in front of the concert. So the conflicting information made you think there was multiple shooters. They were looking for people doing drive-bys. They were looking for the shooter on the field, which there was none. There was nobody in the venue itself. It was coming from Mandalay Bay. So people on our exterior say, hey, it's coming from Mandalay Bay. But you remember we talked about, how do you count that far up? And again, that thing that went to our favor was the security officer getting shot at and identifying the floor the suspect was at. So as you look at this, and you can see where the suspect was firing at the fuel tanks, where the suspect was firing into the crowd, and what 22,000 people look like when they spread out. And when you think about who was at this concert, we talked about the people coming in from out of town. So when you're in Las Vegas, what is home to you?
I'll bet nobody's going to want to count that. That's crazy.
What you're and familiar with is where you're staying. You're staying at Caesar's Palace, the Flamingo, the Paris, the Venetian, the Wynn. You're going to run back to what you know, and that's what they did. People running back into hotels, and some of that conflicting information, which I'll talk about, our distractor calls, was people coming back to the hotel that were shot, and people calling in saying, we have someone shot inside Caesar's Palace. We have someone shot inside the Paris. We have someone shot inside New York. And it was just really them getting information. Yeah, they have someone shot inside there, but they weren't shot at the hotel. They were shot at the venue and went back, which led to some of the confusion and diversion of resources initially. And you can see here off to that.
I don't think they were all like that, though. I think some of them were actually saying they were hearing the shooting, at least according to the 911 calls. And those were people that were hiding, so they wouldn't have seen. I mean, maybe they saw some of the victims before they went into hiding. There was a reason they went into hiding in the first place. But I don't know, man. That's speculation. This guy's speculating on a lot of things.
Just east of the Strip is our...
And I don't want speculation. From these guys, I expect, the facts. Because these guys should know the facts. They should know everything, And so it leads me to question, do these cops even know what really happened? Is it like buried so far that even these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about? I don't know.
McCarran International Airport, we had people running across live runways to escape the fire because they think this is a complex coordinated attack, right? So...
and I'm not saying that there's any legitimacy to a lot of those other calls. It's just interesting that, the way he framed that, it makes me wonder if he really, I don't know, has all the information or doesn't. I mean, obviously this guy's probably not sitting there listening to 911 calls, so I don't know.
We had a lot of distraction calls that came in. We had saturated with phone calls. Our dispatchers did a phenomenal job. And one thing that tends to get overlooked is just that the effect that this can, something like this can have on our dispatchers. They're hearing these 911 calls coming in. They're asking for information. They want to know where to go. Where is it safe? Is my family member okay? They were getting calls from out of the country or out of the state. Where can we go for safety? And our dispatchers did a phenomenal job. They're good at handling stress. They're very well trained, and they did.
Yeah, not all of them, but some did. Yeah.
Just such a phenomenal job in getting all these calls and reacting to it. So as far as the distraction calls, this is where it got a little dynamic because we had to start target hardening our critical infrastructure. So as you look at the video I'm about to play, this is our, a very large view of our strip and some of the distraction calls, which led to some confusion, but we were able to adapt quickly and realize, based on previous after action reports on echo calls and people calling in from different locations. But even though when we say someone was shot inside Caesar's Palace, even though that's likely not the case, they're coming to the hotel, we still have to react to that. We have to start target hardening. And what we did is our leadership did at the command post, our executive leadership, our incident commander, which is Captain Pelletier, they saw the need to start target hardening this infrastructure. So when you listen to this, just keep in mind that none of this happened. No active shooters, no hostages or anything.
Division, go ahead. Hey, Chief, we're getting reports from bystanders that they saw somebody go into an RV directly across the street from where we're at, wearing fatigues and a black duffel bag.
That did happen. Why did you say none of this happened?
And 6, be advised, we're getting reports on Mandalay Bay, the top of Mandalay Bay at the bar. We currently have another active shooter up there.
That one's easy to explain. That's and I'm sure some knucklehead will pick up on that and say there was a shooter up there. I think Hoover's already pushed on a couple things like that, but that's easy to explain. As somebody up there say, "Hey, there's somebody shooting up here." I mean, it's kind of what someone would probably say, something like that, when they see someone 2 floors down or whatever shooting. It's actually more than that, but not very many.
I have reports that there's an active shooter at New York, and shots heard from Hooters.
We have reports of active shooters.
See, shots heard, right? That's different than, yeah. I mean, maybe they're hearing the shots from Mandalay Bay, but I think that call came in, sometime after midnight, I think.
Now at Hakkasan and New York. I have not confirmed that.
Also getting reports that shots are being fired at MGM as well. Shots fired MGM.
See, a lot of these are shots fired, so they're not, someone was shot here, someone shot there. I don't know. I'd have to listen to the individual 911 calls.
We now have reported an active shooter at the Tropicana.
Command from North Branch Emergency Traffic. We have people on the roof of the Tropicana, at least 2 people on the roof of the Tropicana.
And again, that did happen. That definitely happened. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to throw anything into this as far as validity of shooters elsewhere. It's just interesting to me the way that they're framing this.
Emergency traffic, shots fired in the Tropicana. Command from North Branch, we're getting people evacuating out of the Excalibur, reporting that there's a fire. Chief Blackburn's receiving reports of shots fired in the Planet Hollywood, and I see strobes going off inside of the Mandalay. Chief Blackburn just came in here. He's reporting shots fired at Caesars now.
Be advised, we are currently receiving reports of an active shooter at McCarran Airport. Repeat, active shooter at McCarran Airport. And be advised, we're getting reports on the 34th floor of Mandalay Bay. There's been an explosion, and the 32nd, 33rd, and 34th floor on fire.
Command, we just had a backpack show up unattended right where EMS branch is set up at Alibaba and Giles. We're relocating from the area.
Police command operations. Also, we're getting reports of hostages being held currently at New York.
And that was the police holding them hostage, or security or something. They're pissed off because they wanted to leave.
Emergency traffic, Force Protection 6 is reporting shots fired at the New York.
Force Protection. That's a police. So police were reporting shots fired in New York. That's crazy.
So again, all these distractor calls, none of this actually happened. I mean, we did breach the 32nd floor where the explosion and the fire calls came out. But I remember being in the command
There was a
post
dude
and,
at the RV too, bro.
hearing McCarran Airport come out. And I thought to myself, the Fort Lauderdale shooting, the active shooter inside Fort Lauderdale Airport. And I just remember the footprint and the response that was necessary for that. And having to divert those resources if we needed to. But again, we started target hardening. We were able to vet this information quickly. And by sending strike teams up and down the strip to communicate with their security, and we're able to vet information. And in some cases, within seconds, being able to say, no, there's no shooting at this area if they were coming out, or within 30 seconds to a minute, saying, hey, we've looked over this place, we got camera. That none of that is happening. So that was one of the big lessons learned too, is make sure you're target hardening, you're preparing your critical infrastructure for this type of response. So that's kind of the incident in a nutshell. But there was a lot of things that we did in Las Vegas to help prepare for something like this. And one of those things was our multi-assault counterterrorism action capabilities section that was created in 2009. In 2008, Mumbai, India attack happened. It was in the tourist area. There's attacked several locations. So our leadership sent a contingent of people down to Mumbai, look at the lessons learned, and bring back the lessons learned on and created our MACTAC section. So the MACTAC section was created to have that multifaceted.
Oh, multi-assault counterterrorism active action case capabilities. LV and PD reached out to its local fire departments with their ideas and helped to integrate services. 2012 CCFD, so South Central Fire Department, I'm guessing, placed the captain in the Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center, Fusion Center. Beginning of a great relationship that is paid dividends. Okay, whatever.
Approach to education. So it's training our cops, training our firefighters, training our community, critical infrastructure, citizens to help respond to something to this magnitude, and which really started our great relationship with our fire department. And it's one.
Let's see, is LE fire department, so integration academy and 2 personnel already on the floor 1 month before the event. What? Integration South Central Fire Department's academy and to personnel already on the floor. What? Okay, that's written stupid. Same for else teacher sites, whatever. Is involved in LV and PD sergeant, lieutenant training academies, RAT, squad-based training, command and control. Yeah, okay.
One of our biggest lessons learned that worked out to our benefit was that integrated law enforcement fire department training, and it's helping each other. And this is what the benefit of that is I hear other agencies talk about how, our fire department, our police departments don't get along. We're all first responders, and when I hear that, it just breaks my heart because we have such a good relationship here. And I'll tell you why it's important, because when I was responding to the command post, I know my brother's down there. I sent him a text that night just before I leave to respond to it and just make sure it's okay. I haven't heard from him. I hear the radio trap, people are getting shot. And when I show up to the command post, I'm walking in with Chief Sessions from the fire department. And I said, Chief, thank God you're here, because I had trained with him. I'd worked with him in the past. One of our rescue task force groups that went down there, the firefighters were, during an interview with them, they said they ran into our guys that they had trained with, said, oh, thank God you're here, because under stress, you want to work with somebody you can trust, somebody that you know that can handle it and that is going to be there to help you through this. It's a level story. We're human. Everyone, we're that human approach to it. So it's absolutely essential for that training, because the first time you're in a critical incident shouldn't be the first time you see another first responder, another agency that you're working with. It should be, thank God you're here, just like in my case. And we're able to handle business.
I get what he's saying, but I don't think the fire department really played a massive role that night. I mean, they did set up a triage, I guess. The cops did guard the triage. Other than that, I don't think the fire department played a huge fucking role in this.
So one of the things that help us is that we train in the academy, we train in our promotional exams, we train in our upper echelon, we have a special events section, we have a dedicated task force of fire departments and different agencies in that MACTAC training that in every facet and every realm of our agencies, there's some type of integrated communication, training. We teach at the academies. Every promotional exam, fire department's coming in, talking to our leadership on how to respond to this, and that constant communication from the upper echelon level. That multifaceted approach really is second to none, because when the critical incident happened, again, coming from my mouth, thank God you're here. So it was definitely beneficial. Again, Rome wasn't built in a day. It took some time to really integrate that. You know, there's a family-friendly feud between police and fire that we joke about. But again, when the rubber hits the road, just like our night at 1 October, everyone was down there wanting to help, wanting to get the work done, and we were able to successfully respond and help save lives.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't like to shit on the cops too much, because some of them were actually did the right thing. But, and some of them seem like good cops. But, I mean, when you're saying, like, you went down there, took care of business, and helped save lives, I mean, some of your guys did within the venue, but that had nothing to do with your MACTAC training and all your bullshit. Realistically, if I'm looking at this from an outside perspective, I'm saying your MACTAC training completely fucking failed, because you didn't fix the problem for an entire hour, and you had people there in the building at the time of the shooting, but yet you didn't fix the problem for an entire hour. You didn't get in that room. You didn't know what the fuck was going on for an entire hour. And the dude had been dead for 45 minutes plus at that point. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they totally fucked everything up, but when you're sitting here patting yourself on the back, that's bullshit. You guys fucking failed. That whole fucking night was a shit show. Now, I'm not going to blame you for it, because that's fucking crazy. What happened was fucking crazy. And there's no way anybody's going to be ready for something like that. But, to say, oh, we did a great fucking job and it was fucking amazing. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't. It just wasn't. It was terrible.
So one of the things that you hear people talk about is the rescue task force. We have a phenomenal rescue task force. There was 19 RTF teams that night.
What the fuck is this? Rescue task force? This night we were deployed 19, or 60 calls from persons calling in with injuries who are hiding in various hotels of the building. So several resort properties from bottom to top. Okay. Yeah, all right.
Go into the venue, and they also responded to all those distraction calls that you talked about where people were shot. They were sent to deploy into those areas because, one, we're getting information that there's a potential active shooter. So we're able to vet that information. We're able to save those lives. The main lessons learned that I want you guys to take away is kind of all the things that we talked about and are kind of talked about is having ICS training, that incident command system, that formal National Incident Management System, NIMS. Fire department's really good at it. They're really good at making sure that they have all their ducks in a row and responding to something, a critical incident, especially something to this size. Law enforcement's good, but we could be better, right? We train with them constantly, but something to this scale is not normally something we deal with. In law enforcement, we're dealing with the shootings, we're dealing with these incidents where we're good at handling those things, but when these complex coordinated attacks happen, these complex things happen, there's so many moving parts.
And some nut job is going to take that out of context also. Coordinated attacks, whatever.
The first time you guys train together should not be during a critical incident. You should train, and so when you respond, it's that much better. And but it's important to train your leadership as well. Because one thing I remember is having the leadership in there, or executive staff that's there, they bring the calm to the chaos, because when people are under stress, they're looking for something, they're looking for leaders, they're looking for people to help them and providing that calm to the chaos. And thankfully for me at the command post, we had that. We had clear direction, which was great. One of the other things too is equipment. Make sure your people are properly prepared. One thing that our agency does is that we each all have tourniquets. We have med kits in our car. We're able to quickly respond and provide emergency aid, because when 422 people are shot, we definitely need to make sure that we have as much equipment as possible. And then protective equipment. There's so many things that we can do to help better prepare for something like this.
Go bags. What? Guide maps and keys to buildings, radios, extra police department, fire department response equipment, extra medical equipment. Okay. All right.
The other thing too is training for critical infrastructure. That's one of the key things that we do in our agency, is that if we're going to respond, especially in Las Vegas, I've mentioned it before, but if I were to ask you if a terrorist attack were to happen in Las Vegas, where's it going to happen at? The Strip, hands down, every time I ask that question. So making sure that you train that critical infrastructure for that seamless response.
Why not downtown?
And one of the things that we do too is having go bags available. The security is, they're almost like little police departments in themselves, but having that go bag with map, key, radio, extra medical equipment, whatever's in that there that they can bring it. Hey, security link up. Here's this suspects here. This is what you have. I'm a pathfinder. I'll show you how to get there. Whatever it is, those are the things that are essential. Again, I know I talked about a lot of things, but this is very personal to me. I had talked about my family and friends involved in this. There's a healing process after the fact. It hasn't stopped. But again, like I had mentioned, if an active shooter were going to happen in Las Vegas, where would it happen at? The Strip.
I don't know about that. Man. If you watch people doing walkthroughs, whatever they call them, bloggers or whatever, you watch them, they usually go downtown. They don't go to the Strip, because there's more people downtown. There's more excitement. There's a lot more going on every night of the week, not just when there's a concert in town. And the open air venues are pretty much all gone now because of this event. So I don't agree with that. No.
We had the biggest mass shooting in U.S. history.
Yes, you did.
And a month later, we had, in a small town in Texas, Sutherland Springs, Texas, a church attack where people were killed. So if it can happen in a major city like Las Vegas and a small town like Texas, it can happen anywhere. So it's not if it's a win. So make sure you're preparing yourself. You don't want to go back and say, hey, I wish we could have done more. You want to make sure you're preparing your people now. Have that mental mindset and preparedness. Educate your community, educate your people, and really look to helping out your communities. So thank you for your time. Stay safe. And if you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to call. Thank you.
All right. Well, there's that. For what it's worth. I mean, really wasn't anything. But it's interesting to me that I would expect these cops to have more information than any of us have completely. I mean, they're in the break rooms with the other cops that were there that night. I'm sure they've all talked about this for a very long time. And I'm sure they've all got various stories and stuff like that. I would expect, for these guys, to know a little more, right? And to have their ducks in a row. This guy was saying some things that's like, you're crazy, bro. I mean, you're using a lot of speculation here. And this guy here shouldn't be speculating about anything. Everything should be exact, precise. This guy knows exactly what's happening. And if he doesn't, he shouldn't be talking about it. He's not the guy for this job. But, here we are. And needs to get that button fixed. Holy shit, dude. I mean, come on, man. I mean, did they teach you in the academy to dress properly? I mean, come on. It's just not right. You don't even have to wear that uniform, dude. You could be in a suit and do this fucking thing. If you're missing a button, just put a suit on, dude. Don't even bother with this outfit. But anyway, I'm done with that. I just showed up on my feed tonight. It's fairly new. I think it was done last month or something. So if you're interested, I showed where to find it. And with that, have a good night.